Okay. Campaign ad number 2, presidential candidate David Farmhall's reason for running for president. Put that on the floor, get something where you can see me. Okay, David Farmhall. Here's the thing here. Freedom is not free. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, that the one didn't look right. Number 2. That's like farm bills. That's like if you have cattle and you need to get them injected or whatever, have them vaccinated. The federal government, being they will be paying for a lot of stuff, will inject or whatever, have your cattle or any like chickens or anything, sheep or goats if you're a farmer. The federal government will, from now on, if I'm elected, will pretty much be footing the bill for everything. It'll be the people will be being paid for what they need. Will be paid for doing work. They won't be having to pay the government anymore. If I'm elected, that's what you'll be voting for. You'll be voting for the fact that you won't be taking care of the government, except maybe in times of war, where you may have to go to war, but you'll be voting for the fact that the government will give you money, and it pretty much give, where if you need to vaccinate your cattle to keep it from spreading a disease. That's like I heard on the web last night. We're out to, it may have been a while ago because you can never tell on the dates on the iPad, where they had a buffalo coming down from Yellowstone infecting the cattle, where they had the cattle were losing the pregnancies or whatever, but the cattle were having miscarriages, and when they had the miscarriages, the farmers were having to kill all their cattle, and if you did that, you wouldn't be able to afford it. So if you had to kill all your cattle, the government would pay you whatever you had to pay to reestablish your herd. Anytime you had to, if you had to kill all your chickens in your chicken coop or whatever it be, the government would pay for all your chickens, and you'd still get everything you normally get, but the government would pay to dispose of the dead chickens, whatever that would cost. You wouldn't have to incur the expense, and if whatever the right way to do it, you wouldn't want to do it the wrong way. That's like that city where they got them bad pipes. They're all fretting how we're going to do it. That's like in times of war. We always seem to come up with enough money to do a war. They seem to be able to fight ISIS. I'd be afraid that if the government decided we didn't have enough money to fight ISIS and they came over here and defeated us, I'd be afraid if the government decided we didn't have enough money to fight ISIS and something happened and ISIS come over here and beat us, we'd be in a heck of a predicament. But I hope we have enough money to defeat ISIS. What would we be if we didn't have enough money to defeat ISIS? This money seems to come from nowhere. Of course, we're all going to say we got enough money to defeat ISIS. So if we got enough money to defeat ISIS, we will have enough money for that city to fix them lead water lines. I don't have enough money to fix a water line out in front of my trailer if it was to break. I can't fix anything in my trailer anymore. I have to depend on Social Security. I had a long thing on my iPad talking how Obama was going to cut my Social Security, maybe. I can't take that. I don't know what I'm going to do. It worried me. And they wanted to take money away from me to sell me a book to tell me what to do. I think it was a scam. So I didn't know what to do. I just pretty much turned the thing off. So it was wanting to sell me something. So I shut my iPad off before it sold me something. But anyways, I mean, I may not be the best president, but you wouldn't be electing me, you'd be electing an idea. I want to have a Department of Peace. We got a Department of War that seems to be able to print money or pull money out of thin air. I want to have a Department of Peace that pulls money out of thin air for anything that has to do with the department, with public aid or any, it'll be down through different branches. The War Department has different branches. I don't know what we call the branches. There's some bright college student who could come up with a name, some name, public aid or something. But there's a way to name it where it makes sense. That's like NASA. NASA would get more money. They get a lot of money now. They got that warp drive or whatever they want to call it. They're working on a lot of them. Some of them that may work might not get funded. And some of them that won't work get funded. But I think there's a lot of them that would probably work that's not getting funded. I'd like to see NASA get more money. Some people may not like it. But there's a lot of people that would, that may want to go to the moon or somewhere. Or Mars. There may not be people who would like it. But I'd like to see NASA get more money. But it wouldn't come out of your pockets, the only thing. There wouldn't be any taxpayer money. It'd be new money. I didn't have to pay for World War II. They just sort of swept that debt under the rug. I mean, I went to work. That's like the road out in front of my grandpa's house, that concrete road. I didn't have to go into debt for that. I know I did once go out coon hunting at night. When we went out coon hunting when I was a kid, my neighbors had coon dogs, and I didn't realize what he was doing when we went out coon hunting. He knew when the moon was out, and then us kids were sneaky, and one night we thought we'd go coon hunting. It wasn't a moon, and there were clouds. And then when there wasn't a moon and it was dark, we all had to stumble through the dark to get back home and left the dogs and got in trouble. I stumbled down a steep ravine, well, it wasn't a ravine, but wall into a creek because I didn't know where I was. But you appreciate concrete roads you can drive down in a car then. My grandpa went into debt. The WPA, there was a Workers' Progress Association, where they went into debt to build the roads. I wouldn't consider it debt. World War II was kind of debt, but I don't think they paid it off. When we went over and fought World War II, we didn't have any money. We built a lot of military equipment. We built bombs and tanks and tankers and all sorts of stuff that went to the bottom that just got blown up that really didn't get paid for. When you build a car, you pay for it. All that stuff that went over to Europe didn't get paid for. It just sort of got blown up, and then after it got blown up, I don't know what happened to the bill. I didn't pay for it. I don't think Grandpa paid for it. And I talk about Grandpa, but the road out in front of his house got paid for with WPA money, Workers' Progress Association. I can't remember the president to put that in. But it was a cement road. When the bottom went out of the road, that's in the spring. If you ever drove on a dirt road, when the bottom went out, you didn't go anywhere. The road just turned to mud. If it wasn't for the concrete highways, you didn't go anywhere in America in the springtime. But I got almost 10 minutes, so I'll get off and do another campaign in a minute. But and I did several. You'll have to get in them. This is number 2. I did more before the numbers, and I had to change where the number was because you can't read the numbers. I had to change it and put it up in the upper corner. It was in the lower corner, and you couldn't read it. But you can get in there. I'm going to put an ad in the paper where you can get in and read these. Bye. David Foremost, presidential candidate.